Hey everybody, what is up? It's Tuesday, it's political Super Bowl day. Let's freaking go. State of the Union is tonight, one of my favorite nights of the year, regardless of who is president, because it is always wild to see how shit goes down on Capitol Hill. I am super excited to be live reacting to the State of the Union with you guys tonight. It's also legitimate Super Bowl week here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live. I don't know if any of you guys pay attention to the NFL anymore. A lot of people have stopped watching. I personally have no stake in the game whatsoever, literally in the game, because my team, the Denver Broncos, who sadly this year were the Denver Donkeys, are not playing. Sad reality. But I do have a ton of stake, as should you, in the political Super Bowl event of the evening, and that is the State of the Union. We are live right now across platforms on Getter, on Rumble, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. I know a bunch of you guys are probably joining us from links on Instagram and TikTok, so very glad that you guys are here, and it's going to be a fan-freaking-tastic night. First and foremost, how are your guys' Tuesday nights going? Drop all of that in the live chat. If you are joining us for the first time on any one of the platforms that we are currently live on, introduce yourself in the live chat. The entire point of these live streams is to build that sense of community and camaraderie that otherwise doesn't exist on other social media avenues and platforms and pre-recorded videos. We've got Russ Bush watching on Facebook. Irish Martin is watching on Facebook. Marianne McLean is watching on Facebook. SGT Montgomery is watching on YouTube. The Franchise 9 is watching on YouTube. Tons and tons of people in our live chat on Getter. The OG gang. M-Rock is here. Alex Padron is here. Belligerent Idea is here. Gerald is here. Magic Def is here. Forever Lone Wolf is here. Ryan Gregory is watching on YouTube. Hi, Ryan. Glad you're here. Javier is watching on Facebook, and so many others. Thank you guys all for taking time out of your Tuesday night and choosing to react to the State of the Union, which should start in about 50 minutes on the dot with us on the stream. I can promise you this. We might not have the worst takes on television. We might not have commercial breaks, which I think you prefer probably. You like watching live streams instead of live television to react to this stuff because there are no commercial breaks. But we do have this. Perhaps the most expressive eyebrows on the internet as we react in real time to the State of the Union. So many of you guys comment on my short form videos, like my Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikToks, that you don't even like watching the videos that I share with you to react to because they're so crazy. You just like watching me watch the video. You like really love watching my eyebrows have a mind of their own and a life of their own. Apparently, I have some pretty expressive eyebrows, so Botox is not in my near future. I can promise you, watching me watch the State of the Union will be somewhat more entertaining than just watching it on C-SPAN or Fox News or CNN or Newsmax on your own. So buckle up, baby. Get freaking ready. I actually wanted to spend the next 40 or so minutes as we await the actual speech happening, and we'll do a little pregame preview into everything that is happening. I know C-SPAN is supposed to be covering all of their stuff starting like 10 minutes ago. I don't know why they are not yet streaming, but I'm sure they will stream very, very soon. We can look at who is arriving at Capitol Hill, what that's going to look like, who is the big player in the room. While we wait, some fun party politics analysis, who's wearing what. We'll do all of that as we get a little bit closer to 7 o'clock Mountain Time, which is where we are right now in Phoenix, Arizona, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, which is when we expect that the speech will actually begin. But in the meantime, I saw a thread on Twitter this morning that I thought it would be really interesting to react to break down, and just do a little pregame debunking of everything that we're expecting from the speech tonight, because I can guarantee you this is easily going to be the biggest load of BS you will encounter all year. I don't know how much you guys remember of last year's State of the Union when President Biden had just been inaugurated. The entire time I was screaming. I was actually live reacting to it on Getter. Getter gang, you might remember, a whole year ago. That's so crazy. We were live reacting to the State of the Union. I was literally screaming at my computer screen because every single thing that man said was a bold-faced lie. Every single thing. And of course, you'll never find a fact checker spring on any one of those facts or fact check your post about it the next day on social media. Instead, they'll just come for everybody who wants to conveniently, or I guess not so conveniently, depending on who you're asking, if it's the fact checkers or the American people, if you want to tell the truth. So I thought it'd be interesting for us to just preview what we can expect out of the speech tonight, what outrageous, ludicrous claims the Biden administration is planning on delivering to gaslight you into believing that the state of our union is actually strong, when we all know our country is literally in shambles and we are living in two very dramatically different Americas. The America that the elites in power from both political parties, by the way, want you to buy into and want you to believe that you live in, and reality. Two very extreme dichotomy differences, but it's going to be fascinating to see the picture that they paint for us through this speech that will be carefully read from a teleprompter tonight. A bunch of you guys in the live chat are suggesting that we do a gaffe ticker or a lie ticker tonight. I didn't set up a specific little widget to do that on the stream, but you can bet your beautiful butt that we will be counting all of the times that this guy messes up. The man can't even make it through a sentence. I don't even know if he knows his own name at this point. So I anticipate the speech will probably be around half an hour long. But you never know. It could go much, much longer. It all depends on what the comms team and the speech writing team has loaded up for him there in that teleprompter. But the White House did publish today a little fact sheet that they are delivering to us on what we can anticipate from this speech, on all of the accomplishments they have allegedly made reality under President Biden's leadership. That in and of itself really isn't a fact in 2023. I mean, for God's sake, it's weekend at Bernie's over there. The man needs somebody to literally hold his hand to get to the podium. But this is at least what they're claiming. The White House on whitehouse.gov put this out today. Fact sheet in State of the Union. President Biden to outline vision to advance progress on unity agenda on year ahead. Unity agenda. This takes me right back real quick to the inauguration speech from President Biden, where he promised not to be a president for just the people who voted for him, but a president for everyone. He was going to unify the country again. I don't think that's going the way it's going in your mind, Joe. Or at least you keep using that word unity, and I don't think it means what you think it means. But we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll at least read what the White House wants us to believe. During his first State of the Union address, President Biden announced a 4-part unity agenda focused on areas where members of both parties can come together and make additional progress for the American people, ending cancer as we know it. Anybody? Nope, hasn't happened, okay? Delivering on the sacred obligation to veterans. Pretty sure veteran homelessness is at the highest rate it's ever been, and our healthcare system is literally in the toilet, largely thanks to the VA, which is the closest thing to socialized healthcare we will ever have in America. Okay. Number 3, tackling the mental health crisis. Gen Z, in particular, has the single greatest mental health crisis the world has ever known for any generation. The highest rates of depression, of anxiety, of substance abuse, of suicidation, of suicide attempts, of people actually being successful with suicide. Don't think we've brought America together on that. And number 4, beating the opioid and overdose epidemic. Pretty sure that came raging back into the picture as soon as President Trump left office. And interestingly, this was actually something I worked a lot on in my office for the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs when I interned at the White House under President Trump in 2018. This was a huge problem at the time in that summer of 2018. And the Trump administration did so much incredible work to overcome the opioid crisis. We had state days conferences where we had different states come to the White House and get to know everybody that could help them at the federal level, everyone in executive agencies that could give them specific resources for their state. I specifically remember this being a huge deal for the state of Ohio and several other states in the Midwest. I'm not seeing the same vigor approaching this particular topic, beating opioid and overdoses, specifically opioid overdoses, with the Biden administration. Prove me wrong, I guess, in the live chat if you happen to see otherwise, but I certainly am not seeing that. The White House continues, over the last year, the president was proud to work with Democrats and Republicans to enact major legislation that delivers on all aspects of this four-part agenda. Alphabet soup to basically mean somebody else wrote the bills and I'm taking credit for it. Okay. In his State of the Union today, the president will announce a new set of policies to continue making progress to advance his unity agenda and deliver results for families across the country. In other words, the 4 things that we announced last year didn't actually work, so now we're having to do 4 new policies. Do you see how this is just really fancy gaslighting, where they're basically saying, oh yeah, oops, all that stuff that we told you, we didn't really do anything about it, so now we're just going to make it sound like it was really great, and now we're going to introduce a whole new set of policies because everything we told you a year ago hasn't actually happened. Apparently, Biden is going to announce tonight that he's accelerating progress to end cancer as we know it today. Cancer has touched nearly every American family, and it remains the second leading cause of death in America. To accelerate progress in the fight against cancer, last year, the president and first lady reignited the cancer moonshot with the goal of cutting U.S. cancer death rates by at least half in 25 years and improving the experience of individuals, caregivers, and families living with and surviving cancer. Over the past year, the Cancer Moonshot has announced nearly 30 new federal programs, policies, and resources to close the screening gap, tackle environmental exposure, decrease preventable cancers, advance cutting-edge research, support patients and caregivers, and more. More than 60 private companies, nonprofits, academic institutions, and patient groups have also answered the president's call and stepped up with new actions and collaborations. The president will call on Congress to act to end cancer as we know it, and the Cancer Moonshot will drive additional progress by da-da-da-da-da, and they're specifically listing out all of these things. Wow, that's a lot of words. Let's figure out what they mean. AKA, the president will call on Congress means he's asking for money. He's specifically asking for a financial package delivered by the legislative branch to the executive branch to accomplish these bullet point agendas that he wants to do. I'm no scientist, except, wait, I actually am quite literally a scientist. My degree is in biomedical sciences. I took an entire semester on cancer biology when I was in college. I studied the policy of cancer healthcare from a policy perspective in graduate school at Georgetown University when I was getting my master's. And I hate to be the Grim Reaper bearer of bad news here. I wish we lived in a world where cancer was curable, where we could like wave a magic wand and all of a sudden cancer didn't exist anymore. To say that is so misleading because every type of cancer is so fundamentally different from every other type of cancer that absolutely we could create some sort of cure for a specific type of breast cancer or a specific type of colon cancer or a specific type of skin cancer. But all of those mechanisms work so differently with the disease of cancer, the umbrella term, that there really is no such thing as a cure to cancer. So promising this on a campaign trail and now as president of the United States saying you're going to be the greatest president we've ever had because all of a sudden you're going to wave your magic wand and cancer will disappear, it doesn't really work that way. And I wish that it did, but it doesn't. So I'm curious at least to see how President Biden says he's going to remotely rid our society of cancer. But keep in mind, as he's telling you all of this tonight, it doesn't really work that way. Okay? Keep that in the back of your mind. He says we're going to bring America's cancer research system into the 21st century. America already has all of the leading innovation of medical technology and research. So, okay. I'm sure we can always do better, but odd, providing patient navigation support to every American facing cancer. The Biden-Harris administration will take steps to ensure that patient navigation services that help guide individuals, caregivers, and families through cancer screening, diagnosis, treatment, and survivorship are covered benefits going forward for as many people facing cancer as possible. These patient navigation services not only improve the experience for patients and their families, they improve patient outcomes and provide value back to the healthcare system. This entire paragraph, what does it mean? Anybody? It's a lot of words. I don't know how much substance is there. Then they say, tackling the biggest single driver of cancer deaths in this country, smoking. The administration is preparing further action to help people avoid smoking in the first place and support Americans who want to quit. These steps could prevent as much as 30% of cancer deaths in this country, saving up to 130,000 American lives annually. While we have made progress, tobacco products still hook too many young people at an early age and take control away from individual Americans to make the decision not to smoke. Are they trying to say they're giving us our freedom back by restricting smoking products? I will never smoke tobacco a day in my life. I've never used tobacco products. I have no desire ever to smoke anything because I've seen way too many lungs in cadavers of people who have. But this is a very roundabout, logical way of saying we're restricting people's freedoms by giving you your freedoms. Very bizarre. Anybody else also find it incredibly interesting that this administration is so hellbent on tackling smoking as a public health issue, but then at the same time, they completely ignore obesity and lack of exercise and a proper diet? In fact, they'll tell you that Lucky Charms marshmallows are a lot healthier for you than steak. Which I don't know where that came from, but came out a few weeks ago. And how they literally will declare a public health emergency for abortion so that they can continue ending lives instead of saving lives. But this seems to be the one thing that they have just latched onto as a policy initiative. He also wants to support America's veterans and their families, caregivers, and survivors. The president believes there are no more sacred obligations than taking care of our nation's military service members, veterans, and their families, caregivers, and survivors. On healthcare, education, and housing, the administration and Congress have worked together to make progress to connect veterans and their families to needed resources. Over the past year, the administration expanded benefits for veterans as well as their caregivers and survivors and delivered more benefits and healthcare more quickly to more veterans than ever before. My goodness, they need an editor over there on the White House social media website team. These are a lot of run-on sentences. In 2022, the VA processed an all-time record 1.7 million veteran claims and delivered $128 billion in earned benefits to 6.1 million veterans and survivors. In the State of the Union, the president will announce the administration's plans to continue that work by ... It's one thing to say that the VA processed an all-time record, almost 2 million veteran claims. It's another thing entirely to explain what those claims are. Is this like Planned Parenthood saying that less than 3% of their services are related to abortion because taking a paper towel out of the paper towel holder is a service provided to a patient? I don't know. But I'm hesitant to believe that we're at this all-time high of the VA, the Veterans Administration, working well in healthcare when it's been one of the single biggest disasters of public policy since its inception. Needless to say, that doesn't matter to this president because he's going to continue fixing it through reducing veteran suicide. We can't seem to reduce any other suicide in America, so I hope that we can do this, but I don't think that that's happening under this administration. Suicide among veterans is a public health and national security crisis. Since 2010, more than 71,000 veterans have died by suicide, more than the total number of deaths from combat during the Vietnam War and operations in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. Remind me, who was vice president? There's a ton of different ways to do this, including firearms management, aka gun control, the court system, legal support services, etc. Affordable, stable housing for low-income veterans, which I'm pretty sure we keep giving our public housing away to immigrants, but I don't know, just a thought. Delivering high-quality job training for veterans and their spouses, etc. Back to point 3 now, tackling the mental health crisis. 40% of American adults, almost half of us, report symptoms of anxiety and depression, and the percent of children and adolescents with anxiety and depression has risen nearly 30%. How's that last year promise to end the mental health crisis working for you, President Biden? Last year, President Biden called for additional actions to advance his mental health strategy across its 3 objectives: supporting Americans by creating healthy environments, strengthening system capacity, and connecting more Americans to care. Over the last year, the administration invested critical resources to provide mental health and substance abuse supports to Americans, including by expanding certain health clinics, investing resources in the suicide prevention hotline, which actually is a fantastic public policy, but really can't be taken for credit by this administration. A lot of people have been working on this for a long time. And taking steps to address the harms of social media on youth. In the State of the Union, the president will say that we will continue that work by protecting kids online. Really? Because you're censoring all of the people who want to protect the innocence of children, while everyone else can just get away with saying whatever they want, including literal pornography on pretty much every single social media platform, including the ones we're live on right now. So, interesting. They say that there's compelling and growing evidence that social media and other tech platforms can be harmful to mental health, well-being, and development. Gee, I wonder how that might be different if we didn't shove kids behind screens for literally their entire lives in the last 3 years. Just a thought. Children, adolescents, and teens are especially vulnerable to such harm. More than 1/3 of American teens say that they use a major social media platform almost constantly and that they spend too much time on social media. Far too often, the platforms do not enforce their own terms of service with respect to minors who use their products and services. Children are also subject to the platform's excessive data collection vacuum. I don't think you've cared about this in the past. Interesting, which they use to deliver sensational and harmful content and paid advertising. Bullying, harassment, abuse, and even sexual exploitation is happening online. Almost like there's a lot of us who've been talking about this for a long time. I hope that we can put partisanship aside and that our leaders actually listen to this reality that's impacting millions of teenagers all across the globe every single day. Do I anticipate that they're ever going to do anything about this? No, I don't. They're calling on the Surgeon General to build upon this youth mental health advisory, apparently, and some legislation that was recently passed to prioritize the privacy and well-being of young people above profit and revenue in their product design. And yet, they never hold these platforms accountable for always pushing a single agenda that, generally speaking, robs children of their innocence. Biden also wants to strengthen data privacy and platform transparency for all Americans. Big tech companies collect huge amounts of data on the things we buy, the websites we visit, and the places we go. There should be strict and clear limits on the ability to collect, use, transfer, and maintain our personal data, especially for sensitive data such as geolocation and health information. Health information! We care about this being private now, but we didn't for the last 3 years. I guess HIPAA is a relevant thing again. Nice. Love when that's politically expedient for you. We also must demand transparency about the algorithms companies use that far too often discriminate against Americans and sow division. The president has called for imposing much stronger transparency requirements on big tech platforms and is calling for bipartisan support to impose strong limits on targeted advertising and that personal data collection. Would I be legitimately ecstatic if our president put partisanship aside for 5 minutes to acknowledge that a legitimate and clear bias has existed for far too long on digital platforms, namely social media, against one side of thinking? I would love that. Would I be ecstatic? Yes. Is that going to happen? Absolutely not. President Biden is banking on the fact that everyone who didn't vote for him is going to watch this speech tonight. Many, many Americans are at least going to watch clips of this speech tonight. They'll watch the news tomorrow and hear the headlines about what he talked about in the speech, and then it will all go away forever. And a year from now, we'll hear a whole ass story about all of the things that they promised to do but couldn't quite get to. So here's what we're going to do differently this time, just like we did last year. I find it repugnant and disgusting that President Biden is devoting an entire section of his speech to pretending that he cares about upholding freedom of expression in the digital age when he knows good and well everyone he politically disagrees with is systematically discriminated against based on their viewpoints alone in the digital age on these platforms, is continuously censored and having their accounts deactivated. Hello? Firsthand experience right here. Many, many, many times. As are many of the other people that you follow and listen to on a regular basis. Is he ever going to do anything about it? No. Because spoiler alert, these people don't care about you. They don't care about the things that they say they do on the campaign trail, in State of the Union speeches, on social media, etc. Actions speak a whole of a hell lot louder than words. And all I've seen from this administration, despite every single call for unity and bringing the United States of America together again and free speech and freedom of choice, is the opposite of that in every single opportunity possible. When he talks about that tonight, and I hope he does, we're going to call that out for exactly what it is. You guys have thoughts in the live chat, so I love that. Kelly in the chat says the only thing he's good at is demonizing America and legalizing marijuana. Well, not bad. SGT Montgomery says, too bad we don't have the same health care as the grifters in Congress. You're not wrong. Leo Mendez says, at least we have the House this year. I'm not even wanting to see the speech. He has done nothing. Correct. And he's going to take complete responsibility for any remote win that has possibly existed in the last year since the last State of the Union. JL Butchart says in the Getter chat, you're the best, Isabel. Thanks for being here, JL. I appreciate it. The Elusive Man says he's the chief gaslighter in charge. That is exactly correct. Nothing about this speech is going to be remotely rooted in reality or truth. Instead, it's all gaslighting. All of it. All of it will be a complete facade for what reality actually looks like. Let's go. Brendan in the Getter chat says he doesn't know anything good and well. Well, you know the thing, so we all know the thing. I will eagerly be ready to watch this speech. Mrock says, saving our democracy from who? It's a fantastic question. Almost like they don't want you to pay attention to what's actually going on. Sorry for my tangent there about social media censorship. Clearly, it's a topic that hits close to home. We're also helping mental health initiatives through supporting the mental health of the health workforce because of frontline workers and promoting youth resilience. We'll chop off the genitals of children at whatever age they want, but we care about your mental health, apparently. While rates of anxiety, depression, and self-harm among youth have been on the rise over the past several years, there are also remarkable stories of hope and resilience. They're investing almost $1 million in some new pilot program through Health and Human Services. Okay, connecting more Americans to care for mental health, because apparently on average it takes 11 years after the onset of mental health symptoms for someone to seek treatment. We can do better. We absolutely can do better. Do I think that that's happening through the initiatives of this administration? No. I don't, unfortunately. They're taking all of the credit for the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It wasn't their own initiative to begin with. Many, many, many people have been working on this, so I'm really sick and tired of Biden taking credit for everything that he clearly didn't do. And finally, his fourth pillar of unifying America, again, is beating the opioid and overdose epidemic by accelerating the crackdown on fentanyl trafficking and public health efforts to save lives. Let me just say one very specific piece of information that you need to hear before this speech. If the president wanted to end fentanyl trafficking, illegal drug trafficking, it starts with one very, very simple thing. Can you name it? I'm sure you can because you're an intelligent bunch. Close the frickin' border. The vast, vast majority of illegal drug trafficking that comes into this country comes across our southern border. And the White House, by the way, is admitting it themselves. In this document on their website previewing the speech tonight, the White House says last year, President Biden announced his plan to beat the opioid epidemic, blah, 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 blah. We've been decreasing overdose deaths and poisoning for 5 months in a row. And one of the best ways we've done that is working with who? Customs and Border Protection. Through seizing a historic 260,000 pounds of illicit drugs, primarily at ports of entry on our border, including nearly 15,000 pounds of fentanyl. If you're admitting it yourself, Joe, that the vast majority of fentanyl that's coming into this country is coming across ports of entry on where? Our southern border? Close the damn border. I feel like the mom in The Blind Side. Throw the damn ball. That's what I feel like. Because how ridiculous to gaslight the entire constituency that you govern over of 330 million people, that you're saving us from drug overdose deaths by seizing illegal drugs at the southern border, when you've done nothing to secure the southern border at all. In fact, the president of Mexico at the latest USMCA agreement summit a couple of weeks ago openly thanked you for being the first president since JFK to do nothing for construction on a border wall. Gracias, Biden. It's disgusting the amount that these people are willing to lie to you in order to remain in power. It's disgusting. So how are they going to do it? Next year, so that they can lie to you again a year from now? They're going to stop more fentanyl from getting into the U.S. Where? At southwest border ports of entry. Yeah, right. By providing new scanners at the land ports of entry by the year 2026. Customs and Border Protection, those bad guys with the whips at the southern border that they want you to hate and that they vilify at every opportunity possible, will increase its inspection capacity from what has historically been around 2% of passenger vehicles and about 17% of cargo vehicles to 40% and 70%. It's going to crack down on a major avenue of fentanyl trafficking, securing our border. Securing our border and keeping dangerous drugs from reaching our country. Lovely. Thanks, President Biden. Really do appreciate that. They're also going to work on specific opioid overdose response systems, including expanding access to naloxone. They will try to lie to you and say that the last administration did not do this. This was a hallmark staple of policy under the Trump administration, and we worked really significantly on that. In fact, it was something that I was so inspired by that I took it back to my college campus with me and really worked to do that on a campus perspective as well. And calling on Congress to help doctors handle opioid overdoses. So that's what the White House, at least, wants you to believe is happening in America today. That you live in the greatest time since sliced bread in American history because this president will fight for you. Give me a frickin' break. So I saw all of this and wanted to pull my hair out, naturally. I'm sure many of you did as well. But I also came across an incredible Twitter thread from Jack Posobiec, who many of you are likely very familiar with. You follow here on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever, you're probably very familiar with his show, Human Events Daily. He does some really great work. But he took it upon himself to, in his words, pre-bunk Biden's State of the Union yesterday. And I thought that this thread was incredible. It has over 1 million views now on Twitter. But these are important numbers for you to keep in mind. So write these down on a Post-it note or whatever next to you. And I'm very curious to see what absolute crap numbers they try to feed to us in the speech here in about 20 minutes. Jack said yesterday, every single one of these things will be lied to you about at tomorrow's State of the Union. Number one, I inherited inflation. I am positive the president is going to say that. Number two, that real wages are up. We might say wages are down, but that's just because of inflation. So when adjusted, real wages are up. You have more money in your pocket at the end of the day, which we all know very intimately is not reality in 2023 America. Of course, number 3, that the economy is strong. This is the strongest economy we've ever seen. And interestingly, the White House has posted stuff along these lines, that the economy is strong and inflation is not that bad and all that stuff almost every single day for the last week on Instagram and on Twitter. So I expect a lot of that in the speech tonight. And even number 4, that gas prices are going down. I do anticipate that that will be part of the speech tonight, even if it's just a very quick sentiment. Jack reminds us that inflation was at 1.4% when Biden took office in January of 2021. 1.4%. He's going to say that it's going down because our peak of 9.1% last July is come down a little bit to about 6.5% in November of 2022. But have you been to the grocery store lately? The average trip that used to take me, I don't know, $100 to stock up for a few weeks, now is like $300. Eggs are what, $10 a carton? It is absolutely asinine. Going to, your neighborhood coffee shop no longer is $4 for a cup of coffee. It's like $7 to get a large coffee at any neighborhood coffee shop. Inflation is out of freaking control, and it's impacting your life more than you realize that it is. But of course, because it's slightly come down since a few months ago, the president absolutely will say that inflation is coming down and that he inherited this really terrible inflation. Inflation is 7 times higher today, not even at the peak, than it was when President Biden took office. Take a moment to remember that. Jack reminds us that real wages are actually lower today than they were in December of 2019 for almost every industry. That's exactly correct. And he links this tweet from Jason Furman that says real wages are lower today than they were in December 2019 for every industry except retail, trade, and leisure and hospitality, and they are below trend in every single industry. This is a fantastic little chart here that you can use. Feel free to screenshot it if you want very quickly, but it basically explains what the nominal wage increase is versus real wages. Look at that chart. Look at the red. It's disgusting. It's growth since December of 2019 in that first column. And then the second column is the difference from the pre-pandemic trend in every single industry. Gross. He also reminds us that when they say the economy is strong, let's not forget CNBC happened to report on February 6th, yesterday, that 64% of Americans, well over half of us, are living paycheck to paycheck, a near all-time high. Tell me again how the economy is the strongest that it's ever been, President Biden. And of course, they'll say that gas prices are going down because they came down from the peak right there that existed a few months ago. But gas was on average nationally $2.39 when President Biden took office. That would be nice. I'd go fill up my car right now if that was still reality. But unfortunately, it's not, and it could reach $4 again very, very soon. The Heritage Foundation had some stuff to add in a different thread as we await in the next couple of minutes the C-SPAN stream that we're going to watch today for the stream, that Biden repeatedly claims he inherited an economic disaster and that his policies brought us back from the brink. And Biden is likely to repeat that narrative in his State of the Union address tonight. The only problem with Biden's version of events is the facts. So here they are in this thread. When Biden took office, annual inflation was a mere 1.4%, as we just learned. In last year's State of the Union address, he claimed that my plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower your deficit. Anybody? Anybody have lower costs at all? Belligerent Idea says in the Getter live chat, eggs are $10, but at least we have the Grammys. Thank God. Thank God we have satanic worship to watch on national television from our favorite musicians. Disgusting. Nobody, right? Nobody has lower costs and lower deficits. A few months later, the annual inflation rate broke 9% for the first time in 4 decades. That was a rough week. While the rate of price increases has certainly slowed in recent months, as government deficit spending also slowed and the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates, prices are still up about 14% under Biden. Do not let him convince you otherwise. The average family has seen real annual earnings fall about $6,000 under Biden, while higher interest rates have increased borrowing costs another $1,400. That means that a family effectively can buy $7,400 less today than it could in January of 2021. While real earnings have improved slightly over the last several months, they are still well below their May 2022 level and down 5.5% under Biden, and the monthly mortgage payment on a median-priced home has risen 80%, or about $9,500 a year. The president is fond of saying that his administration is providing families with breathing room, but it looks like that breathing room happens to be underwater. It's very well said from the Heritage Foundation and is a really shocking reality for what we are living under right now in the United States of America. It has never been harder to be an American, particularly a young American, trying to create a prosperous future for yourself. It never has been. Good luck for me and my fiance ever affording a house. Interest rates are about to hit 10%. Literally, that's what they're predicting. We're about to see a 2008 level housing crisis in 4 major American cities, including Phoenix, Arizona, where I live today, where we're expecting that home prices could drop around 25% by October, November time, according to several different economic leaders. That's a scary reality for what that might look like for our economy in the next several months. But we're not in a recession because we have a woman Treasury Secretary. Thank God. Thank you, President Biden, for that. I can't afford to go to the grocery store and buy the same amount of things that I've bought previously, which I guess is probably good for my waistband, but it's certainly not good for my pocketbook and for my bank account. And so you might be saying, okay, well, what about socially? Are we at least better off socially in America under President Biden? It can't possibly be as divisive as it was under President Trump, under President Biden, right? I mean, that was so bad. We at least have that going for us, right? Wrong. The economy is a really important reality for us to be dealing with. And I've said for a very long time, economic policy is exceptionally important, really, especially now when things are so difficult for the average American living day to day in the United States of America today. But economic policy is not even remotely close to the biggest change that this country has seen since President Biden took office. We no longer have a national respect for life. We don't. The push for abortion has never been Hang on, I'm getting an important text. Oh, well, I'll fix that later, as soon as we start the stream. The push for abortion has never been more prevalent from one half of the aisle, who are literally willing to call a national emergency, a national public health emergency, so that they can continue the slaughter of innocent lives to the utmost extent possible, even through the perinatal stage, including after birth in several states like Maryland and California, and sadly, even my home state of Colorado, where I grew up. When I was at the March for Life a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't tell you how many counter-protesters I saw holding signs saying, "I wish I had been aborted." We've never been more socially divided than the Civil War, but maybe even before that, not seeing the humanity in one another if we happen to disagree on religion or politics or any sort of values whatsoever. That's the reality that we are living in the United States of America today. Free speech is completely under attack, particularly in the digital age. And if you don't agree with the loudest voices in the room, you will be silenced. If you don't follow the woke, rage, cancel culture mob by making a cake for someone that you disagree with, back to the Supreme Court, your ass will go 1,000,000 times over, like cake baker Jack Phillips from my home state of Colorado. If you don't follow the Grammys and are super excited about the satanic worship in Hollywood, you're part of the problem and it's time for you to go. And if you don't want to show your children critical race theory on all of their cartoons that you think are safe to watch for kids, or have them read the 1619 Project at school, then you are an extremist domestic terrorist. God forbid your daughter is exposed to by a biological male in the locker room at school and you happen to testify about it at a school board meeting. You are an extremist domestic terrorist. All of this has happened in the midst of mostly peaceful protests that see our cities literally burning down to the ground so that the radical extremist left can take our society to crumbles, to destroy the foundation of the family unit of our public institutions and our trust in those public institutions, of education as we know it, and more, so that they can rebuild a future America that they deem to be utopia, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Remember that when you keep hearing that we live in a unified time in America, that we've never been closer together and more bipartisan as a country than we are under President Biden. It's disgusting, and it's a lie. And we all know it, so it's better for us to just call it out as it is. C-SPAN has started their coverage of the event, so I think it'd be really fun for us to move over there. And I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts throughout this speech. So I have the live chat on screen. You guys can see what everybody's saying. Drop your reactions to President Biden's points. If you think something is totally outrageous, if you catch a gaffe or a lie that I don't happen to catch, drop it in the live chat. It's going to be super fun for all of us to just hang out and take it all in stride. We've got Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy up on the podium right now in the House of Representatives chamber. All of the members of Congress are slowly trickling in, and we are expected to have a speech starting in about 10 minutes. I don't know how accurate that is, but it is always fun to see like who's talking to who and all of the tea. And I love when the Supreme Court justices arrive. It's super fun. So we'll get a little pregame coverage going on right here, and then the speech should start in just a few minutes. My goodness, this is exciting. All right, so we are here watching live from the House of Representatives chamber as we await the arrival of the president. They have to introduce all of these important people, I guess. It's always kind of fun. This is what I imagine like most sorority meetings would be like. My sister's in a sorority. Maybe she can tell me. Up in the stands, you're going to see all of the guests that congressmen and women have invited, and particularly the president has invited. This is all the formalities, which is very, very fun. Ugh. Do we think Kamala will rip up the speech the same way that Nancy Pelosi did? I wish. You guys are all talking about the economy impacting your life. Belligerent Idea says the recession is real and pain will be felt. Magic Duff says here in North Carolina, nothing but apartments and condos are being built. Yikes, that's scary. We got some more guests gearing up to join us, baby. I think it'd be fun to be this lady who yells. Woo! So these guys, they can't show any emotion during the speech. Fun fact, this is like weird nerdy political trivia for you. They are not supposed to react in any way, shape, or form to any speech from the president of the United States, regardless of who the president is. So they will be very stoic tonight. They always come in their robes. They come as a unified front because they are supposed to be nonpartisan. There you see Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. We've got our new Supreme Court justice here. I love SCOTUS. I'm such a nerd for SCOTUS. It's good stuff. All right, that means we're close. When the Supreme Court shows up, it means we're really, really close to the actual speech. Belligerent Idea says Kamala clapping is my drinking game. How about Kamala cackling throughout the speech? Every time she cackles, we all have to take a drink. Is everybody on board? Those are the rules. I didn't make them up. Except I quite literally did make them up. Every time we hear it, you got to drink. Daniel Maynard says, I think I'd more value anything out of ISIS execution videos than anything this administration has to say. Wow, that's intense. It's important that we watch, though. When I was a kid, my mom used to force us to watch these every single year. When we were like young, and take notes and learn what the president was saying so that we had a better grasp on what was happening in politics and in current events and with our nation's leaders. So I have long been watching the State of the Union every year. This is a long-standing tradition for Miss Isabel Brown. But I do think it's important that we watch, because when these people lie to us, we deserve to know what's going on. Oh! The doctor herself. That is just not a great color, I will be honest. It's probably a symbol of bipartisanship and unity, because we've never been more unified as a country. They're all standing because the president's about to show up. Mr. Speaker, the President of the United... Oh, the cabinet shows up, obviously. Oh, we're going to turn off these horrifying subtitles. We don't need to watch those. There we go. I wonder who they picked as the designated survivor. You think it was Pete? Boot Edge? Nah, he'll probably be there. He's too important, publicly facing. Did you know that over half of the women in Biden's administration are women, according to President Biden? Can you guys hear this? Let me know in the live chat. You can't hear it? I hate that. Sorry, you guys. Let me know if you guys can hear this. You guys can't hear it? Only static? Oh no. That won't do. That just won't do. All right, we'll work on this. Don't you worry. That's so bizarre. It should be working. Otherwise, we'll just have to do audio a different way, but that should be fine. Don't worry. I mean, it is like a lot of background noise right now, but it should still be working. Shoot, you guys! All right, you know what we'll do? We will turn this off. Can you hear this? Or is this like really bad? Gary says it's really bad. How bad? All right, you guys. I don't know what to tell you. Pull it up on your own. We'll have to react in real time. Yeah, I know. It should be picking it up. It always does. All right, we're going to try a couple more things, you guys. Sorry, I hate that. We've done this a million times, and it should work. So I don't know what's going on. Try this. Can you hear people talking? Is that bad? I know, it's hard to tell. T. Schneider says you can't really tell until somebody talks. Right now, it's just background noise. Ah, our friend Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself. I see they're not wearing white this time. It's an interesting choice. You guys remember when they all showed up wearing white? Still nothing? You guys, this has never happened. We always are able to hear stuff. I might have to turn our subtitles back on. Bummer. Well, we'll react still. No big deal. We're waiting for Biden. If you have to on your phone or whatever, just pull up the C-SPAN stream on YouTube and you'll be able to listen as I listen to. I hate that. That never happens. Did you guys hear that, Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States?
It's trying, but it's just going like it's there, but it's not. I don't know what the issue is.
It's trying. Give it a second, you guys. I'll turn our captions back on. We'll keep it going. We'll keep it going. We'll try. I hate that, you guys. I'm sorry. Right Side Broadcasting Network is having the same audio issue. It might just be overload. We'll turn our subtitles on. It's okay. Piano Player says it sounds to me like it's trying, but there's something going on somewhere in the audio chain. Yeah, I can hear it just fine. It says it's coming through in our audio feed. I think it's just struggling to re-stream it back. Pull it up separately if you can on your laptop or your phone or whatever. That might help. Gary Upchurch says, that's tech for you. Yes, it is. That's life. Just gotta roll with it. Belligerent Idea says, if Biden can't read captions, then I refuse to. LOL. We can try to find a different stream of it if you guys want. Hang on. Let's just try something here. Let's try the Washington Post. Of course, we're going to get an ad. I'm just curious if this is going to work better. Okay, let me know if you can hear this. While we're waiting, Daniel wants to know if I picked up a copy of Hogwarts Legacy. Obviously, I pre-ordered it, baby. Already played it last night. You still can't hear? Okay, I don't know what to do then, you guys. I'll be honest. It says it's coming through. All right. We can try not on YouTube. You know, he's old. He's going to take a minute to... He's going to take a minute to get up there anyway. He needs a minute to, like, actually read the podium. Guys, I hate this. It says that it's going through on my end. I don't know why it's being so silly. Hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. There's ads. Okay. Wait for it. I have it muted. We're gonna try. We're gonna try here, people. We're gonna do our darndest. Can you hear this? No! You guys. Dang it. I don't know what to say. All right, you know what we're going to do then? I'm sorry, I hate this. We're just going to watch with our subtitles, and I will be able to hear, and you guys won't, but that's okay. We'll just roll with it. Doug and Jill hanging out. Pull this up on your phone or your laptop. He looks forward to working with McCarthy. Well, that's not surprising. Congratulating Jeffries for being the first black leader in the House in history. Congratulations, Tortoise Mitch. Standing ovation from Schumer there. Longest standing leader in Senate history. Yeah, okay. He looks like a cartoon villain to me. The greatest Speaker of the House in the history of the House of Representatives. Okay. Ugh. I honestly don't even know if I can continue watching this. We're already going into January 6th being the greatest threat to democracy since the Civil War, that I fixed the economy in 2 years, and that COVID is over because of me. What do you think Kamala's thinking about right now? She's trying so hard to be serious. It's like toxic woman syndrome up there. I think she's probably thinking about literally anything else, but she's like... She looks like Tucker Carlson. The... Okay, now he's just going to take responsibility for every piece of legislation that he had nothing to do with. Cool.
Try lowering the volume of this thing. Hit the setting in the bottom right.
All right, you guys, apparently this is going to help.
Oh, I hope.
I pray. Oh my god. Look at Bernie Sanders' mask. I literally can't. Alright, I'm just gonna mute it. Sorry, guys. I hate that it's skipping. That blows. So, I guess we care about the middle class now, even though they can't afford anything. That's great. Pull up State of the Union on your phone or something so that you guys can hear it. I'm sorry. I don't know what's being stupid. I wish that it was better. Where are these 800,000 manufacturing jobs, Joe? That'd be nice. Okay. Exporting what exactly? Not oil. Janet Yellen looks like she's gonna fall asleep. Inflation's coming down, baby. It's falling every month. Your take-home pay is up. I could have written you the exact text of this speech. 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses because you ran them out of frickin' town for the last 3 years, Joe. Daniel wants to know if they're scrambling the audio to prevent people from restreaming it. Probably. That would be my guess. But whatever. We'll just roll with it. Kevin McCarthy looks like he's going to fall asleep. What are we talking about? Okay, so again, taking credit for something that Congress did. Not you. We're going to put the supply chain for America beginning in America. Bro, you won't even let us make our own oil. Broccoli's come to fix the problem, apparently. working on audio. Hang on. Go play this on your phone. Oh, looks like Pete Buttigieg is not the designated survivor. Shocking. Well, we tried, guys. It's okay. We'll just keep listening. Keep reacting. I hate this. I'm so mad. We're doing free Wi-Fi now for America. Great. These people, I literally cannot. You just can't make this crap up.
Hit the search bar and copy it.
I'm back.
Change that back to 4100.
Be nice if you could even sell a house to begin with, Joe. All right, guys, let me know what you want to do. We can end it. You can go watch another stream. I hate this. I'm so sorry. This has never happened before. I think they're just trying to prevent double broadcast. Would be my biggest guess. Jonathan says you're doing great. Thanks, Jonathan. I really needed that. It's been a long day. Wrencher wants to end the stream. Start over. Why don't you guys go jump on somebody else? Go turn on C-SPAN on your phone. I hate this. I'm sorry. Our grand plan for a reaction is not what we anticipated. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. We will make it work. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow.